Welcome, everybody, to the big show. This is going to be fun, so put your seatbelts on. Today, we are talking about the very controversial and important subject of strategies to overcome the parts shortages. Also, just the direct connection between having a hall pass with your wife and back order parts, which is going to this is going to change your life. You do not want to miss this, so stay tuned. That and much more coming up on Service Drive Revolution. So we have a special series here for everybody because this is our top dog week. So all of our team is in town, and we've asked a few of the coaches to come on the show because they are very knowledgeable and have a lot of great ideas, and we love hanging out with them, and we thought it'd be fun to have some conversations that you can kind of eavesdrop on and hopefully pick up some good stuff. So Cliff, Grant, Hoagie, and then everybody knows Christian. And we'll get to the subject at hand momentarily. But I asked this question earlier. I was asking everybody about the Taylor Swift thing, and I was saying how mad are the Kardashians that they didn't think to hijack the NFL in the way that Taylor is, right?
Right.
Because I think it is a competition for likes and views and just eyeballs on you, right? And they're weaving that narrative into the NFL, which is interesting, I think, right?
Absolutely.
There's nothing bigger than the NFL. I know the Kardashians date basketball players and that sort of thing. It was brought up that Kim dated Reggie Bush.
She did.
But I think it's a different time now, maybe.
Totally different.
And there's nothing bigger than the NFL. Like, nothing. I mean, did you guys see the eyes? So we have somebody that works here in the office. She's a sweetheart, but she's from the Ukraine, and she went with us to an NFL game. And did you see her eyes? Like,
She couldn't believe it.
she's just like, this is America. No, like, America. The good and the bad.
Yeah.
And did you see she kept turning around and watching all those fans
I know.
above us, like
Yeah.
dressed like luchadors or whatever they were doing, screaming and yelling like their life depended on it. It's pretty funny. And so then your point was that you should date a Kardashian
Yes.
and somehow embezzle money. What were you saying?
Yeah, I think I should get the money up front. Like
Like they're gonna pay you to date you.
of course they're going to pay to date me. Yes.
Oh, certainly.
I don't know. That was I know that was a dollar.
But aside for that, it should have been assumed. But but I think if I could pull that off, like I probably should have done that.
Well, you gotta have goals. Let's say shoot for the moon and
Right.
land
What I like is
in
that he just
Compton.
I like how he just assumes like that's going to happen. Like he's like, I'm just going to do that. Like that's
Yeah, so then the first thing I think is, well, what about your wife? And you're like, well, you don't think she would for $1 million? And I was like, probably not.
Well, I said several. I said probably the first step is I've got to decide on how much it's going to. Like, how much it's going to need.
Do your wife and you have a conversation about hall passes?
No, never had that conversation.
Oh, well, but she listen to the show? Or does she only listen to parts old?
She will part sold for sure. Now that I'm on this one, she of course is going to listen to this one. So it's probably going to open up now, and I'm going to have that situation.
So let's just flip this really quick because poor her. First of all, when are you willing to give her a hall pass? Like, what are your conditions? Just because if she's listening, let's just get that out of the way. What are your conditions for a hall pass?
But that wasn't the question. I don't want to flip that. That may be.
No, I want to flip it. I'm not asking you. This is
You say this for another show. It's a whole nother.
no. We got time. Trust me.
that was a legit question. Corey, why is your leg shaking?
So when does that? You were so casual with the Kardashian thing. Like when?
Yeah.
So if your wife wants to date Reggie Bush,
I feel like when Hoagie came in earlier and his head was.
so NFL player, does she get a hall pass?
This
I think it depends on what level of NFL player.
Oh, like if they're on the veteran minimum?
He has a quarterback scale.
He is a quarterback for the Chargers. What's that guy's name?
Jake Herbert.
Isn't he the highest paid guy? And doesn't he make like 15? He's 59. Okay, what if him?
I mean, probably top 5 highest paid.
He's young though. That would be hard. Wouldn't you want her to kind of have a hall pass with an older guy? Like remember LaDainian Tomlinson walking around like maybe somebody a little older. You don't want her dating a 24-year-old making $50 million, do you? Do you think a couple million are going to sift you?
Well, I'm going to say 25. Yeah, maybe I can get 25 out of this.
Because as long as you're willing to pay the bill.
Yeah, he's going to write a check.
That's hilarious.
We told you could talk about relationship advice on this show.
This is a world problem.
The 8333 Ask SDR. Nobody ever asks marriage, which I feel like. How many times have you been divorced?
7.
Yeah, so we're clearly experts.
But they should ask marital advice.
I think so. It's a big part of being successful. Like you got to get that stuff in order, right?
Yeah.
You can't fight at home and then go to war.
That's right.
Yeah.
Boy, it's funny how quick you got quiet.
Yeah.
The way you flip this is awesome.
Yeah.
I was really enjoyed watching her. He's like a Duke.
Okay, so then tell everybody, because my Missy was telling me, so my significant other was telling me that you guys were in the kitchen when you got here. So the kitchen here in the building is new. So Missy and Luis and everybody, they designed a kitchen for having a chef in here when we have events so we can cook for people. And so it's a pretty nice kitchen. Like they did a good job on it, right?
Yes.
And it's big and it's semi-commercial kitchen. But you guys couldn't figure out how to open the drawers. And then your first thought is what?
My first thought was you running an experiment on us.
Yeah. So what would that, because that's hilarious that you guys think that I would now the kitchen. It's all the work. I'd be like, hey, Missy, by the way, can you work in some hidden cameras and whatever? To what? To then, if you couldn't open a drawer, what would that prove? Like, what is my psychological warfare there that I'm doing?
Our thought process, and maybe like it's solving a riddle and solving a puzzle. Can you open the drawer?
Like it would lead to another thing, like it's an adventure.
Yes. Like you're sending
Like an escape room?
Yeah, if they can set the timer and they can answer, open the drawer in under 10 seconds or something like that. But we push the drawer, touch the drawer. To be fair, if you're walking up to it, you don't see the handles. They're hidden handles.
Yeah.
But that's how you chose to have it, right?
Brad, nothing to do. I mean, that's what that's Missy like that. And it looks good.
It looks great.
Well, because there's no, I think the point is that color and the way it's designed, the handles don't compete because they're not so much, well, they're hidden, but they're above at the top. So they're under the lip of the counter. So you would have to reach up. You would basically have to know that they're at the top, right? But once you stick your hand up there, it comes right out.
And just so you know, everyone struggled with it, except
for the 16-year-old.
Oh,
that was
walked right up, grabbed it, and opened it.
Oh,
yeah. When I got here, there was no, hey, Okie, it's been so long. How are you? Great to see you. Hey, try to open that drawer. just walked in with my bag, like, I've never met my wife before. Well, you need the picture, right? Yeah, the drawer. No, that's the reason. Hey, try to open that drawer.
yeah, that's great. I'm glad everyone's
the same.
What did it say about me that you guys think that I would go to that much work to play? Well, you're not saying play a game. Like I'm mentally trying to do it. Yeah,
it's great.
An experiment.
The good thing is
some sort of mentalism.
Open under 10 minutes because otherwise a homeless crackhead would have fallen through a skylight. So it's so hard to clean up.
It's so funny. It's great. But
It was a fun time.
yeah,
it was good.
You figured it out. You got the spoon or the fork.
I just wanted a fork. That's all I was looking for. And I could.
You guys have done a good job. You know more about what's going on in the kitchen than I do. You knew there was beer in there. I didn't know that. There's beer in there. So
We found those pretty easy.
I just opened the door.
you have come and conquered very quickly. You know more about it than I do now. So
Super inviting.
Took ownership.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
what do you guys think of since you've seen it last? It's come a long way.
It's changed a lot. Absolutely.
It's been fun to watch the stages because I came.
Well, remember
on a year and a half?
The green screen days, right?
Yes.
When you came out a long time ago and we were filming, right?
There's a before and after video in the making. It was pretty dramatic.
It's so.
And then we interview Eric and Luis and everybody.
Oh, that'd be great.
I mean, just the gold wall.
So that was before Cliff got a big head. That was when he was. That's when he was humbled.
Why do you know
when he was just Cliff?
Yeah, when he was just Cliff.
That was the start.
So just for everybody kind of coming into this cold, when our team is walking around, people will run up to Cliff and ask for an autograph because he's, on the #1 podcast in parts.
Yes.
In the parts stratosphere. And so there's a little inner jealousy, I think, going on.
Yeah, from the
because of
coaches
your
towards me.
popularity. Yes.
Of course. When I have to have the autograph booths and you have to run security and
Yeah.
there's a lot going on there. I mean, I got my own action figure.
I've seen the action
They
figure.
will have their own action figure.
No.
But I haven't seen this action figure yet.
It's really in production.
No, I've seen pictures. I haven't seen the.
Actually,
yeah.
I'm sure we all have one coming for Christmas. I would guarantee that's going to be under your Christmas tree.
So much for surprises. Okay.
We always look for toys to give away.
Guarantee.
I'm looking forward to that.
We're gonna make it a bobblehead, so it's to scale.
Yeah.
There is a Chris Collins bobblehead. You remember that?
But yeah, there's been a few.
So yeah, he was the first one.
Well,
I always think it's
less of a
different,
bobblehead and more
different than Jack Nicholson over here. I always find that stuff weird.
I just find it awesome that you do the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That you make people's wish come true, and his own podcast. That's really awesome.
Well, what was strange was when we went to the football game, they were asking for my autograph. Like Dax come up and asked for mine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He needs parts for all his cars.
Yeah, I remember that, for sure.
It's an important element. Speaking of parts hold, so let's talk about the subject at hand because we have a strike going on, which is creating ripples in the logistics of parts getting to the dealerships, and then making it harder to fix things, etc. So, what are the strategies that you see that we can overcome the part shortages? Directly to the ones putting people on hold in the parts department.
Yeah. So with the strike, with the back orders that take place, it's nothing new. It's taken place throughout all of our career. We've seen it over multiple times. It's nothing new. And so the first
every time it happens, everybody makes it seem like it's the worst. It's never been worse.
Yeah. So the narrative is controlled there. And I guess what I want to start with is I want to think beyond now. That I want to be strategic in my planning. That I want to think beyond today. That I want to plan for the future. And maybe even more so than that is I want to think beyond what's going to happen and start anticipating things happen. So I know, for example, new model cars are coming out. You've been a high-level technician. You've been an extremely high-level service advisor. And as a parts manager, I want to plan beyond. I want to plan for that. Like I want to make a plan for that. So I want to start looking at new model stuff and start making a decision on those parts, testing them, adding them into my inventories to monitor. I may extend my phase out on that kind of item there, but new model parts are kind of the basis for where I want to start.
So you're going to have a healthy inventory of the new stuff even months before you need it.
Yeah, I want to plan on that. Like how frustrating we've all run into it as directors, right? The new model comes out.
First oil change
comes in, and what happens?
Don't hit the filter.
But what did we do before that?
Nothing.
Well, car goes on
the filter.
Car goes on the lift, right? But car goes on the lift.
Drain the oil.
We drain the oil out,
filter.
And usually we pull the filter off
and crush it.
Yeah,
There's no coming back from it.
Yeah. So I just kind of want to plan for that and want to be ready for that and anticipate that. Most new models have. Some of the manufacturers even put out a list of new items that are coming out. So I want to go ahead and add that stuff into my inventory and start planning for it now.
Okay, what do you say to the parts manager out there that has, you know, a list of parts that they do not have, they cannot get, and they got cars sitting?
So I've got that later on down my list.
Oh, okay. What's next on the list?
Next on the list are, I want to use my ASR, my purchase discounts, and my bulk purchases to kind of anticipate these things. Because again,
What is ASR?
automatic stock replenishment orders.
Oh, parts lingo? Sexy parts lingo?
Guess kind of what
Okay, so
Should I say it in the default ASRs?
My ASR.
My ASR is coming on with my ego. Say it again. Say it again. Said no one ever. By the way.
So, thinking about back orders, what's going to go on back order first, what's going to be removed for us first is those fast moving items. So I kind of want to plan for those. I want to do some bulk purchasing. I want to take advantage of the stock order bulk purchase discounts that the manufacturer offers, and go ahead and add that stuff in and have a plan for that and build that inventory up so I don't get caught on the shortage part of it. All right, number 3 is very same thing that you were just talking about. I'm going to have to try some new places. I'm going to have to try something different. It can't be just the guy across the street. It's going to have to be some other different places. In most cases, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn for the manufacturer, but if there's a part that's on back order and I can get it somewhere else, for example, let's say a car battery is not available from the manufacturer, and I can prove that that car battery is not available, maybe they'll allow me to get it from somewhere else that it is available and take care of a customer. That's kind of the thing I want to think about too. In the end, if I'm a parts guy and I don't have the part, I always think about the customer as the one that's affected by it. Aside from everything else, we've heard a customer, and if the customer's car's down for something like a car battery or whatever, I'm hurting the customer, and I'm creating a bad experience for them.
Yes.
Yeah,
If
we
it's
gotta-
2 weeks, that's 10 rides to work. It's 10 rides home from work. Like, it's 20 things, not including having to pick up their kids from or anything. Like, it's the most amazing inconvenience. That's the right way to look at it, is from the customer angle.
And customers don't understand. They think that a battery is a simple thing. They think most things are simple, right?
And frankly, it should be. You would think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about having other options, I kind of have an idea for this, and it came to me when I was up in Washington, where I grew up. There, by my grandfather's house, and kind of on my way to my mother's house up there, there was a huge wrecking yard. And the guy who owned the wrecking yard was very good friends with my grandfather. Like, they would hang out and drink, and they would go hunting together. And it was part of my grandpa's circle of friends. They oddly had a couple Chevy Citations, and I had a Chevy Citation, and I would get parts off of he would hand me tools, and he would go get it, and if you get it off, you can have, like, he was,
right,
you know, because it was family or whatever. But he was a very successful entrepreneur owning wrecking yards, and they seem to have gone away.
Yes.
Wrecking yards have gone away. Now, same thing, and maybe my gift in this world is connecting dots, right? Like, I can connect dots in different places. We have a situation. We've had 2 people here in the office have their cars stolen. Car thefts are way up. What is it? The city of Chicago is suing Hyundai.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is the funniest thing ever, right? They're suing Hyundai because their cars are getting stolen. Which, what's a parallel analogy to that? Like, you're suing a contractor because people are smoking crack in the house. Like, so you sue the contractor.
McDonald's for you being fat.
So I was thinking suing little Debbie because I've ate those and it's made me unhealthy. It's the same thing.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm kind of I'm a more conservative person when it comes to my politics. And maybe the idea of police maybe I'm just old school and it doesn't work anymore. Maybe we should defund the police. Let's go with this. Let's get parts managers to band together. Let's go with this and let's make friends with the car thieves and let's start our own wrecking yards. Let's focus on stealing new cars. We'll have all the parts.
Yes.
Let's go with the momentum. Instead of fighting the momentum, let's go with crime. Crime is the answer.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And if we could get parts managers to join in, forget it. We don't need cops. We'll start our own army.
It's capitalism at its finest.
Yeah, make up our own rules. Like,
Why
I
did
believe they don't call it capitalism. It's racketeering.
well,
anymore, like,
tomato
does that matter? Yeah.
call it what you want. I love
And
it.
we focus on the newer models. So we have, but man, just think about think about that wrecking yard that he had. That, I don't know, maybe it's like 20 acres, right? Think about, we can go buy 40 acres somewhere off the grid, and the internet opens the world to us. We could be shipping parts to Europe. We could ship everywhere. We don't need to be in a city. We just need FedEx.
Yeah, there's plenty of land available in Montana.
Yeah.
We could probably buy.
Maybe we want to be a little more central, but somewhere in Dallas or somewhere next to a big airport, and we're set. Like, that's it.
Yeah. So
Maybe not Dallas, because the likelihood of them defunding the police is low. But here in California, we can be doing it for 10 years before anybody notices.
we probably have to get more northern to get land, right? Or is there land close by?
Or just in.
Is there
It's
parts?
a desert.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is a desert good for a wrecking yard?
I think so. They keep everything dry.
Yeah.
We're going to be making so much money, we can build a dome in the desert.
We'll call it bio.
We'll be the only ones that have the parts.
There we go.
We'll own the world.
Well, when it comes to parts.
And I could be the face of it, like have my face on it and then the name of the place.
We put your face on the dome.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely don't want my face.
Yeah.
Goes back to Cliff again.
So,
Yeah.
He's crafty.
There you go.
yeah, support crime.
Yeah. But that's
Right here first. It's a business plan for all the parts managers out there.
There you go.
It's an SDR, and you can figure out a business plan to create.
My beliefs are just old school.
Yeah, man.
They don't work anymore.
for you to get him out of the office.
That may be too good example of it, but the word that I kept thinking of was ingenuity. And yeah, your example might be too good of an example, but like earlier we were talking about like old school parts guys and how some of the best parts guys that we worked with and some of their characteristics. And I think a word that really comes to mind is ingenuity, right? Like when, as a tech over the years, that's always one of the most frustrating things, especially if you go to like an aftermarket parts place where it's a minimum wage person. A thing you realize really quick in dealing with those guys is if it's not on the screen, they can't help you. Like you have to know how to help them to walk them through it and stuff like that. And a good parts person, that ingenuity is just there, right? And it was just a couple months ago, there was something that came up. We were going through the whip at a store, and this one, it was a Shelby Cobra Mustang Super Snake, some part that we thought was really hard to get because it was like this, super rare car or whatever. So anyway, after, just a little bit of investigating, it was an O-ring that was on back order, right? And you can get like an O-ring kit at any local parts. So it was something like that. The card sat there forever. And so I think that's a really huge one is teaching our parts people and techs for that matter, a little ingenuity.
Yeah.
That's huge.
There's nothing more heartbreaking than when a tech calls and finds the part.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing more heartbreaking. Like, that's a broken, the tech cares more, and usually the parts is. So now in my system with that hoagie, we would just put it out in our encrypted, little system, and then the thieves would go find that. We'd have that O-ring, I don't know, 12 hours?
Probably 6 or 7 of them.
Quicker than a stock order.
We the kings of the dark web.
Yeah.
Our fill rate could be way higher.
Just think about that. So what do we got to pay that? What is that car worth to us? Like if you sold it part by part. Holy
pennies
cow.
on the dollar too. Like someone steals it.
Oh yeah, what do we pay them? Like $5,000? that car is worth 150 grand when you start taking it apart.
Yeah.
Especially as time goes. Like, we're patient. We got the dome in the desert. We can sit on some stuff. Eventually, they're going to need a door panel. They're going to need something.
We're doing God's work.
Yeah. And we just lobby the politicians here, and they'll be in on it. We just fund their thing. And
Throw some money at them.
yeah, maybe donate part of the proceeds to the homeless or something.
Yeah.
See, you could do that. You could start like a lobby group.
Mm-hmm.
We could also build a dome for the homeless.
They could work in the
And they could work
More chaos.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess they're not the best. They're not the most reliable source of labor, but
It's okay. They pull a couple parts.
we're gonna need to run our thing tight. We got to get that stuff out to the parts departments quick. Like, our advantage in the marketplace is we can steal a car, break it down, and get you the part like
Time
quicker
that the
than the factory
manufacturer will
can.
get it to you.
They're still figuring it out.
That's good.
Yeah.
There's some guy at Ford still looking at the microfiche or whatever and wait.
I think you've already got it. There's some good stuff, man.
So that kind of ties in the number 4 a little bit, but the internet was what I was going to say. It's amazing to me how many stores I've gone into recently, and they say that the part's on back order, and you just do a quick search, whoever, by part number, and it pops up.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah, but that's it's happened before, and it's available on there. But it's amazing to me that we tend not to use stuff that's in front of us to find a part.
What is that in parts that, and it's not everybody, but you will run into the doctor no, or they can't do sometimes. And
I think it's a control thing. They have the.
it's like going to the DMV, like our policy is. Or,
Yeah, I've got the control.
Yeah.
Control the world.
So let me ask you that. So how is the best way as a service manager, if you're somebody that is really, you have an idea of the part that you want, you're kind of doing that internet thing, you search it and you find it. How do you approach that with a parts manager that say, hey, I found this part to, as like I'm trying to help you, as opposed to offending them and, that you're going outside their purview to get a part? Because in my experience, sometime as a director, the parts, I was lucky. I had good parts managers that I worked with, but I could also tell sometimes where it would be a little bit offensive if I tried to find something. So how do you handle that from a service
when you're
manager?
doing their job for them, and then they're mad,
Right.
Because you fixed the problem.
Correct.
So we kind of talked a little bit about something similar. It wasn't this case, but we talked about collaboration. I think it does have to become a collaboration where you're almost making it their idea and getting them to buy into it. But you've got to get them to, there has to be a good relationship there. I think if the relationship's not already there, you got to establish relationship first and a good line of communication, then all those other doors open up.
It's very similar to the hall pass
I was going to
conversation, right? It's very similar because it's like you got to establish a hall pass with the parts people. Like, hey, so when you just don't feel like calling, I'll call for you, and then
what's too far, you got to find out what's too far.
yeah, like if it's another dealership, is that okay? Or if it's an independent,
I think it's okay.
if it's a wrecking yard, like where's the line? Like,
Can I
a
use
veteran minimum in the NFL versus highest paid quarterback? Like, where's the line? And then you function inside of that kind of, agreement.
Yeah, you don't want to
So to
blur
say.
the line. There's
You gotta.
Yeah. But I think the first thing that starts with is having an open line of communication that's built on trust with each other. It's all the same thing.
Having a scale, what's a 1 and a 10? Like how far am I able to go?
Yeah.
Is an independent shop labeled considered a 5 or a 6? Like how's my max range?
I would agree with you. I've been in those situations where you suggest something and say something and they get super offended by it, but you've already done all the legwork.
AC Delco makes an oil filter for a BMW.
That's right.
Mopar. You can buy a Mopar for a BMW.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so last thing on my list is I want to build a network. When you're talking about back orders in those situations, as a parts manager, if I knew something was on back order, it goes back to the control thing. I control the world. I've got the part. You don't. you need me, I don't need you, so then I can make the price whatever I want to. Capitalism at its finest, supply and demand. But I want to build a network of people that I know. That's one of the things that I think that we have a benefit on, is the network that we have as coaches and going into stores.
Great.
That we have the edge. We that's our competitive edge there. But I think if you can build a network of different places and different people,
Can't have enough friends.
in-state, yes, yeah, and it can be aftermarket sources and salvage yards and other dealers and other brands and all those things.
It's great.
If you've got a guy that knows that filter will work on that vehicle and you need it, like, who better to go to? I think often we, not only do we build these silos inside the store, but we do that, I can't go outside of this area. I can't call another state, but we can, and we can build that connection and that friendships and all these things of that. So I think that's the other portion of it is having a network, so that when things do go down, I'm not completely fearful because I have networks of other places that I can go to.
Great. So let's go through the list really quick. One more
Yeah,
time.
so go through the list one more time. Number 1, think beyond now. Number 2, make use of bulk purchases and purchase discounts. Number 3 is I want to try new in different places. Number 4, I'm going to have to use the internet and do some searching out there. And then number 5 is I want to build a really good network of multiple different avenues.
It's great stuff.
You know what I could tell?
No matter what Grant says.
In this, because you were looking at the camera,
Yeah.
you did that.
You had good form.
Yeah, good form, man.
Yeah,
really.
You're a natural.
When you're I've got my makeup done before we came on just to highlight everything.
Oh, it looks good.
Yeah,
Joking.
You're an impressive guy.
That's great stuff. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Job Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.